For the 200th episode of Ruth Deuber's What's Cooking segment, David Lee and Ruth's kids conspired with Anna Smith of Finemark Bank to surprise Ruth with a cooking session with Finemark's chef, Mike Gavala.
We're going to make mozzarella from scratch. So you're going to be my sous chef and chef today, okay?
I can do that.
So first thing we're going to do, we're going to start with a mozzarella curd. And this is the curd, this is mozzarella. So this is, you know, when they separate the curd and the whey from the milk and all of that, this is what you get. This is the curd. And this normally comes in about a 20, they normally used to make them about a 45-pound piece.
Okay.
And then they started making them in about 22 pounds. And I buy the whole thing because I make mozzarella here. However, you can go to like Mario's, and let's just say you want to make enough for a dinner party you're having that night, and you could just say, hey, can I get a pound or two of curd instead of buying the cheese? So what we're going to do is, this is how he would cut it for you too. Okay? So as you can see, there's our curd there. That's the texture of that. It's just kind of, but it's not really, it's not mozzarella yet. It's still, it just falls apart, see? So it's not where you can really eat it to that point.
Okay.
And I'm going to want you to break this apart for me. We just want to kind of just break it into little pieces like this, okay? Because what'll happen is, what'll happen is if we try to melt this right now in these big chunks, it's going to be very hard to melt a chunk like this. So what we need to do is break it up into just little pieces so it kind of coagulates all together when we put the hot water in on it.
Hot water?
Yes, that's how we're going to get this to come together. I brought this down to room temperature already too.
Yeah.
When you first get it, it's normally refrigerated, and what happens with the refrigeration is if we were to start this when it was cold, it wouldn't melt for us right away, and it would actually cool the hot water down and make the mozzarella tough. We want to get this nice and soft. So this has come down to room temperature. But you can see the smaller pieces we have right now. That's kind of what we're looking for. All right? This is boiling water. There's really no flavor to mozzarella cheese. So what we want to do is we want to salt it a little bit. And we want to salt our water. Just, and I'll tell you, I'm going to show you if we have enough of salt in there after we start to make this. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just add our hot water to this. Just around like that. Okay? I want you to take this paddle and I just want you to start working it kind of in like this. Okay? I'm going to push from this side. There you go. I'm going to start moving it around on you and just keep your paddle there. Keep your paddle there. And I'm going to start moving this up on the paddle for you. Okay, you just, there you go. I'm just, this is what we call like pulling mozzarella. So when you're working a mozzarella curd, what you do is they'll take the paddle, push it underneath, and then they pull. And you see how nice and smooth that's getting?
Like
exactly,
taffy.
just like taffy. Okay? And you only have a certain amount of time to work with this. The reason being is it's going to start to get tough on you. And then it'll be a very hard cheese to consume. But you see how this is getting smooth? I was always told by my grandfather, you want this as smooth as a Bambino's bottom.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, you can see that, yeah.
So Ruth, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you one real first here. We're going to take this, and what I'm going to do is I want to get this as smooth as possible, and I want to break that off like that, and that's what I'm looking for. And you can tell if, let me just move this around, if you have enough of salt in your water, when you have the size of about a dime showing, you have enough of salt in your water. There you go. You can fold it under, you know, and get... There we go. Squeeze it really tight. And pull it off of there. Now just pull it off. Pull that piece off. There you go. Put it in the water.
Not as pretty as yours, though.
I'm going to show you another one too, how we do what we do. This is this would be called a braid. And you can always tell a place that makes their own mozzarella is if they have braids in the water. So I'm just going to close those ends up. I'm going to stretch it. Okay. Then we're going to go around the tree and in the hole.
Oh, you made a knot.
And we're going to go twist it.
I've seen That's
we're
why
gonna make
Mario's sells it.
correct,
It's
and
a
that's
braid.
called a braid, and that's how you can tell they make their own. Because years ago they came out with machines. Polio came out with a machine that actually makes fresh mozzarella, and you know it was easy just to buy it. But the old school way of doing this is still to do it by hand. Now, because it has no flavor, and we went into the salted water, we're going to let it sit in that water, and we're only going to let it sit in there for about 20 minutes or so, because what happens is the salt will end up eating it, and it gets real mushy and all of that from too much salt in there. What I did is, in an oven, I just bought a couple of red peppers.
Okay.
500-degree oven, and I threw them right on the rack.
Oh,
Okay? So right in there on the rack, so they get a little charred
500,
like this.
yeah,
500,
okay.
450.
Yeah.
And then what we want to do now is, you know, peel off as much of the burnt skin as you can. And another thing to remember when you're peeling peppers is that never do it underneath a faucet with water running. The reason is, you see all of this stuff right here?
Sure, yeah, there's the
That's
oil.
a pepper oil. And you don't want to lose that oil. So a lot of times when I'm storing these and they'll go right into a little bowl or whatever, all that oil comes out. And that's a fantastic oil to have as a roasted pepper oil. So what we want to do is just dress our greens, okay?
Okay.
Why don't you add the tomatoes just anywhere around here, like, you know, move them all around. What we don't want to do is cut the mozzarella to put the mozzarella on the plate at this point, because inside there's a lot of milk in it. So from when we
Okay,
when I
so
was
you need to let it
so
sit
what you
then.
what you want to do is you want to garnish it like this, so when the
Oh,
when
I
when
see.
your guests cut into it, it all runs out. Okay, and on this we'll just add a nice little piece of roasted pepper. Okay, get that to stand up a little bit like that. And then balsamic reduction. Now, a good balsamic reduction, this is a product from Italy, comes from Modena. Years ago, we used to start with a gallon or two of balsamic vinegar and reduce it down to this.
Oh,
And then they started coming out with them their own. And there were some that were American made, and what they were doing is they were taking balsamic vinegar and they were thickening it with cornstarch and adding sugar, trying to get to the same part. That's not the way to do it. So we're able to buy one now from Italy that's a true balsamic reduction. So this is, you can buy, and I've also seen this in Publix, balsamic reduction or whatever, and this is just what I get from one of my suppliers. But if you just want to maybe just go over the top of that, you just squeeze it and just kind of do a little bit of squeeze back and forth over there you go. Perfect. And there you have a nice first course for a tomato and mozzarella salad.